And welcome to Sports on Tap. I'm your host, Rob Trauman. We have a great show for you today as we're going to get into high school football here in Northeast Ohio. It's our preview show, and coming up on the show, obviously, the guys of Sports on Tap will be here. We have Josh Jeffy, Sean Duffy, Ed Dick, but we also have some special guests. John Hunick, head coach of the Berea-Midpark Titans, and Dan Larocca, the head coach of the Westlake Demons, will join us at 8:45 here tonight. And guys, welcome back.
Hey, we're back, baby.
We didn't think we'd get to this point, but we're here, and it feels kind of right, but kind of weird, all in the same notion.
We listen. We, like many parents, many students, many administrators, many coaches, many athletic directors, anybody associated with education in the state of Ohio, we are flying by the seat of our pants, flying with no net. It is fantastic. But we are talking football, gentlemen.
That's
high school football.
That's right. Even if it's only, 6 games in the playoffs, I mean, at least we're going in the right direction, and hopefully these players will be safe. In the meantime. But want to thank everyone for watching on our Facebook Live as we're there, and it will also be on our website at some point here in the next few days. But as it's early in the week, but high school football is back. We were going to look over schedules, and we had a chance to talk about what we were going to do this year because things have changed a little bit, with everything going on. Guys, what have you thought so far about the decision to come back? And then we'll get into a little bit of what we're looking to do here this year.
Well, I mean, if you look at up until about Monday of last week, we thought we had a handle on everything. But now, once the governor made their statement that fall sports could continue, some of those that maybe have decided they weren't going to play because they for whatever reason have now decided to play. So what we're seeing, and I guess I'll throw this to the room, is have we ever seen such a fluid situation regarding scheduling ever in any sort of like major, not high school, in any sort of like athletic endeavor? Because it just feels like at any point in time we have teams don't know who they're playing at the end of the week. You know what I mean? You could be watching film to play, Strongsville, then all of a sudden Strongsville can't play, and now you have to switch gears and play another team that you have very little film on or very little time to prepare for. So I think this is a very, like I said, fluid situation. But I would imagine, is anyone else getting that same feeling?
Oh, yeah, for sure, Sean. Yeah, this is such a fluid situation we got going on right now. But I think all parties involved, whether it's the schools, the Ohio High School Athletic Association, communities, public health departments, they've all kind of worked together to come up with the best solution to kind of get the world back in motion, which we all sorely need. But do it in the safest way possible. We're already starting to see some effects of positive tests. The game Strongsville Benedictine got canceled because there was a positive test at Strongsville. That was just made known. So things are happening. Also, North Olmsted football team, they've had a few positive cases. So we're seeing the effects of the virus still there, but other teams are doing a great job trying to get as much of the season as possible. And this format that we have, the modified 6-game schedule, and then the playoffs, and then the teams have the ability to opt in or opt out of the playoffs. I think what's going to be interesting is, after, a team loses in the playoffs, what kind of games that they may or may not play after their run in the playoffs is done. We could see some really interesting matchups, not only in the playoffs, but maybe as an exhibition or outside of the playoffs after their run's done. Some matchups we've never seen and probably will never see again. So I'm somewhat looking forward to the prospects of some great matchups that we're going to have this year.
Josh, that's a good point because you won't see many teams schedule others really strictly based on the size of their schools and the fact that there's zero benefit for either team to play each other due to playoff points. Playoff points are out the window this year. So I think that perfectly illustrates your point, Josh, in that once the regular season, the 6th game, and the playoffs is over, we could see some. You're right. I think we certainly see some matchups we haven't seen either before or in a really long time. So point taken. Well, and very well put.
All right. And right now we have Coach Larocca waiting to get in already here tonight. He's raring to go.
Well, if we haven't talked about that already, with being fluid, we'll obviously we'll bring this up with Coach Hunick from Berea-Midpark. Their week 1 matchup was supposed to be against North Olmsted, and they were able to pivot quite quickly and get a game against Ashland. Which, from what I know about Ashland, Brunswick generally, we scrimmaged Ashland for a while, and I've seen them come up and play in Brunswick in the playoffs. That's going to be a great matchup between Ashland and Berea-Midpark. Ashland likes to go 4 or 5 wide, and just toss the ball around the field. We know the Berea-Midpark offense is very, very potent, and so it'll be a very good test for Coach Hunick's defense to see what they could do against the Arrows there. Yeah, and we'll talk to them about it here in a little bit too.
Yeah, and did they play Wadsworth, or no, that was actually yeah, I think they did actually.
It was Wadsworth. Yeah. It was Wadsworth.
And that was a pretty high scoring game, I thought. I think it was a playoff game, and I thought they played them in the regular season.
They played in week 1 a couple of years back, and then they did have a rematch in the playoffs. And they gave Wadsworth all they can handle, and that was when Wadsworth, I believe, had Boffman was their quarterback back then. And he had a tremendous game against them. I
remember correctly. Yeah, if I remember correctly, that was like a really kind of back and forth, high scoring game, both in week 1 and in the playoffs, which you don't normally see when 2 teams meet one time and then meet again. But given the offenses and the way they're tossing the ball around, it's inevitable that you're going to see that. But I remember following that game because I think we were actually covering another playoff game, and we kept remarking to ourselves like, hey, Worcester and Ashland are just, like every 5 minutes we were getting an update of a touchdown. Like there were not a lot of field goals. I'm sorry, Ed, not a lot of field goals kicked in that game, if I remember correctly. No. It was 6 points and done. So yeah,
no, certainly not.
and you got to wonder, going into this season for every school, and we're seeing it not only on the amateur level, but we're seeing it in the professional level too. There's just not been a lot of time I know they've been doing some workouts and things like that, but we say that every year to start the year that it gets a little sloppy. Defenses maybe a little bit ahead of offenses in some respects, but I think this year is going to be that point's going to be particularly poignant. We're going to have probably a slower build, and we'll probably start seeing some games right around that week 6 mark where some teams are hitting their stride. And it's going to be interesting because if they opt in for the playoffs, it's serious time after week 7. It's not, like you said, no more computer points, no more putting up scores. It's you win or go home, and I think it makes it fun. Obviously, it makes what we have now fun, and it's fun to follow. And hopefully we at Sports on Tap can bring our typical top-notch coverage going forward. We got Ed doing stats, smoke coming out of his ears. Josh thumbs can't stop with the social media. My little synopsis, my quips, and then Rob just bringing it all together like some sort of wizard on the ones and the twos back there. So listen, yeah, he's the maestro. Yes, thank you. So yeah, we're gonna. It's 2020, so I guess the motto for 2020 is just roll with it and figure it out. And it may not be pretty, but it'll get done. I guess that's the motto. Used to be my motto in high school, but not anymore.
Yeah,
that's actually been our motto, Sean, the whole time we've been doing this. It's just 2020 gives us an excuse.
Yeah. Now we can rely on. Now we can hey guys, it's 2020. Like we were so what about 2019? It looked a little hokey. We have an excuse now.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting. Like you said, we kind of got to roll with the punches, but we're looking forward to giving our best coverage on our social media. And at SOT Podcast is where you can follow our updates at certain games wherever we're going to be at. But, I know John Hunick is going to come on for Berea-Midpark here soon. And, looking at the Southwestern Conference, they always have that first matchup with Avon and Avon Lake. That's a big game. And we'll talk to Dan Larocca. And for a while, things changed with Westlake. They weren't going to play the 2020 season, and now they're able to play an independent schedule. So it's going to be exciting to see, what they're going to do, especially going into the Great Lakes Conference. That's going to be fun for them. But in the Southwestern Conference, it's going to be interesting to see some of these teams. There's only a 6-game schedule, and I know North Olmsted, not sure what they're going to do because they did have a positive COVID case, which pulled them out of Berea-Midpark, and that's why they had to put Ashland in the mix. But looking at the Southwestern Conference, the Avon and Avon Lake seem to be at the top, and Amherst and Olmsted Falls are there as well. It's going to be a pretty big fight in every game now. With only 6 games, I feel like that's going to be pretty important for each team.
Yeah, your conference is a meat grinder to begin with, Rob. I mean, you're one non-conference game and you go right into conference play, and there are plenty of playoff. Well, in what a normal season would be, plenty of playoff contenders, including Amherst, who hasn't been able to crack that top 8 in the region since 2008. Is this going to be the year that they're able to do that? I'm looking forward to your conference, not to mention the other conferences as well. My former colleague, compadre, cohort, the other C word, the other C friendly word. But specific to the Southwestern Conference, it's you're getting right into it.
Yeah,
and there's zero room for error here.
Yeah, and I think one thing you're gonna see is how many of these teams as they get through the season genuinely. I mean, I would say every team, right? You're gonna want to opt in and take your shot at the playoffs because you never know. But you may see some of these teams that don't have, that maybe are struggling with some positive COVID tests or struggling with injuries and things like that, and just may not want to go into the playoffs or for whatever reason. So that's something that's been kind of weighing as I'm reviewing everything. You kind of wonder. September 17th is the declare date for the playoffs this year. So teams have to declare if they're entering the Ohio High School Athletic Association playoffs. And if they do, they seed everybody on the 18th and we go full steam ahead the following week with the first round. And you just got to wonder how many teams are going to be there and how many teams are going to be contending and how many teams take a back seat either for, obviously health concerns are number one and player safety is number one. So it may not be competitive. It may mostly be to protect kids, but you got to wonder how many teams are going to opt out or how many teams are going to, say it's just not worth playing if we're going to continue getting these tests or getting hurt. So,
well, you know what? Let's talk to the source. And
the source
entering the room now is head coach of the Berea-Midpark Titans. John Hunick joins us from his lovely couch. There he is.
This good-looking group of guys. My God, these guys.
How you doing, Coach? Thanks for joining us. How's the family, and how are you doing in these crazy times now?
They're doing good. My son's big into hockey right now, so he's going a few days a week. My daughter does like 18 hours of gymnastics a week and is doing volleyball too. So we're busy. We're busy, and school starts for them next week, and then I got 2 weeks till we start. We're virtual, but I have to go in to teach, so it's interesting times, that's for sure. But it's fun, it's a challenge, and that as long as you spend time with your family and everybody's healthy, that's all that really matters at the end of the day, right?
Yep, absolutely. And we appreciate you, coming on. It's a little bit different, but hey, we all figured this out, and changed with the times. And I know you guys had to do that early on already in week 1.
Yeah, there's no rest for the wicked, right? First of all, you knew as soon as you contacted me that I'd come on, give me a break.
That's true.
I know.
You guys actually make me feel important for a little while, so I can just meet my wife, who makes me feel a little more unimportant every day. So.
Join the club. It's called Sports on Tap.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that's how it always goes.
No doubt. Yeah, it was crazy. We were it was funny because we have a countdown clock in our weight room, right? Like countdown to Strongsville, obviously, because the original game was Strongsville, and we yelled at our O-line coach. Is an awesome guy. He's in charge of the clock. So we yelled at him that why hasn't it changed 4 times by now? Because we've had 4 different opponents since all this stuff went down. We had Strongsville week 1. Then they had a new schedule, which we're going to play Olmsted Falls week 1. Then we had North Olmsted week 1, and now we're finally playing Ashland week 1. So my defense coordinator, myself, Matt Wilson, he's an awesome job. We got to break down 4 opponents in like 2 weeks, expected to play all of them, and then you end up figuring out who you're playing now and really have no film on them because we don't have anything on them, right? There's no scrimmages. We didn't scrimmage, and so because we didn't get a chance to put our pads on really till this past Thursday. And so it's kind of interesting to go a week. You're in pads for a week and you're playing a game, but heck, that's what it's about, right? I mean, it makes it fun and challenge. That's cool stuff.
Coach, one of the questions I have for any coach, I mean, you just kind of talked about it, was the fact. Well, just one right now.
One question.
We'll come back. We'll just come back. Wow, see, he knows the lingo. I love it. No. So, I mean, you mentioned that you've had 4 different opponents in like basically the last 3 weeks, and with all the craziness, how are you staying focused with the kids? Keeping them, I mean, just on track with it's. I mean, it's hard enough trying to figure out who you're playing, and now you're again with pads and some kids figuring out how to line up and where to go. How are you guys able to keep them focused, or are you having a lot of trouble with that?
No, I would say, I mean, I'm extremely blessed to have a great group of kids. It's been finally. I feel like, and 2 things. Our coaching staff's really awesome. I mean, those guys do a phenomenal job. 9th through 12 and 7th and 8th as well. We're one unit, and our guys are all bought in. They spent a lot of time in the off season, not knowing for sure what was going to happen, and really preparing for the year. I give them a ton of credit for that because we kind of pushed it a little harder than we had in the past because we really want to get this thing going. And then secondly, I'm lucky to going into my 5th year to have all the kids that are on our program now have been with me since they've been in 7th grade. So, I mean, they know the deal. They're bought in. We have a great relationship. They have great relationships that our coaches have built with them. And so to do that type of stuff, I don't think was that much of a challenge because the kids want to play. I mean, they put a ton of time in and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get on the field on Friday and Saturdays and Thursdays for our freshmen and to have a great year. So I think if you have that goal in mind, they understand. And I think their parents done a great job prepping them as well. I mean, it's been so crazy with, would we play, would we not play? And I completely understand our district and our superintendent's stance for wanting to keep kids safe, but not knowing for sure, I think was a real challenge. And that's everybody's case, right? But I can't say enough how proud I am of my boys with regards to, sorry, I'm trying to make sure my dog doesn't lose his mind.
No, that's all right.
I can't tell you how proud I am of the boys with regards to their lock-in and focus for that. And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, I think the best part about this with the multiple opponents, that was a great question, is we really end up just focusing on us, and getting ourselves better and being bought in and really have a foundation that we believe in, regardless of who we're playing, as opposed to trying to focus on an opponent and worry more on fundamentals and little things. And I'm hoping that carries over, both the experience that we'll have coming back, which is a ton, helps us a lot right now. I mean, we have a lot of kids coming back, which is huge. And I think also a coaching staff that's bought into focusing more on us than the opponent. And so I feel confident going into week 1, but it is interesting to play a team that you're not exactly sure what they're going to do because you don't really have anything on them. So it'll be fun. It'll see how good we are, coach, how much we can adapt. And I said it's a true test for our coaching staff to see how well we can do with all the different things we have to deal with.
That's going to be a great game, John. Sorry, Coach John.
Yeah,
whatever.
Coach, come on. Show some respect, Ed.
I mean, Ed, come on.
Yeah.
Familiar here, okay?
Yeah. It's gonna be a great. That's gonna be a great matchup. We've scrimmaged them in the past, and we were talking about this specific game prior to you coming on. The Ashland that at least that I've seen and what we've seen when they play teams that we cover, they usually, I believe they like to throw the ball around a lot.
Yeah.
I think they go at least 4 wide, maybe 5 wide, and just sling it. And one of the things that we're talking about is they have a pretty good offense. However, we know the offense you bring to the table. What with that specific, that keeping that in mind, how do you think your defense is going to be able to adapt to a team that runs that type of an offense? And is there any more pressure on your offense to try to have to keep up with a team like that?
Well, first of all, my defensive coordinator said today that he shouldn't expect to get home till about midnight on Friday. If that's how much they throw the ball. I'm lucky that my brother, who's the defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator at Pickerington North right now, he started his coaching career at Ashland. And so with Coach Valentine, who's like a legend there, and he just recently stepped down, but they're keeping, from what I understand, they had another assistant kind of take the reins. So I imagine things will be kind of similar in that respect. So we, just like you're saying, Ed, that's exactly what my brother said. They're more used to doing, so it's, so I think that hopefully we could be prepared with that. The nice thing is that that's kind of similar to what we do. As you've seen, I mean, we're an up-tempo team. It's going to throw the football around. And so our kids have seen that, in the limited practice we've been able to have. But more importantly, I mean, with the amount of returners we have, they've seen that from us at practice for the last 2 years. So I want to say there's definitely no overconfidence in this case, but I think that our boys are used to the type of offense they're going to bring. Obviously, everybody runs different concepts. Everyone's slightly different stuff. The hope is that our defensive coaches are as good as I think they are, and that they can adapt as the game goes on. And I don't think there's a lot of pressure on our offense. I mean, our like you said, our kids kind of know what we're about, and they trust the system. They trust what we're doing by now. Our quarterback's been Luke Devins. He's going to have a phenomenal year. I mean, I'm so excited for him. But I've been coaching him since he's in 7th grade. So, I mean, if that kid doesn't know what the heck we're doing, I really suck. So, and the same thing with those perimeter players that return. I mean, we return all 4 of our wideouts. We return our tailback. We return 2 linemen. I mean, we return 7, 8 kids on offense. I mean, so it's, in my opinion, as long as those kids do what they're coached to do and play with confidence that they should have, I mean, we're probably going to have one of our better years at Berea-Midpark offensively, just because of who those kids are and the experience they have. And same thing defensively. I mean, our linebacking core comes back. We got a lot of kids that got awesome time at JV for us last year, and our defense coaches are good. So, I mean, they're going to be prepped for what we got to do.
Now, on the offensive side of the ball, who are some guys that we should be aware of this year on the offensive? Obviously, Devins at quarterback. It seems like as the year went on last year, he got stronger and stronger, understood his reads, and made some quick decisions. You went through some changes last year because you always had some veterans on the team and a good mix of young guys that would follow those veterans on the team. Now, who are we going to look at this year on offense?
Well, hold on just a second. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, so we're like I said, our wideouts are phenomenal. Jack Arnold's a returner for us. He'll play one of our outside spots. He'll also start a corner for us. D'Angelo Borders led our team in receptions last year with 64 receptions as a sophomore. So, and he's dynamic with the football in his hand. Same thing with Devin Johnson, who plays the other inside receiver for us. I mean, those kids are just game-breaking type of players. The other kid I think is going to stand out is Cameron Cupak, who's going to play the other outside spot, who got time as the year went on last year. So we really have a group of kids, like I said, that have played with Luke for since they've been in diapers, essentially. I mean, they played their youth program together and stuff like that, and they've been in our system since 7th grade. And then the other kid I think is going to really blow up is Aquan Bell, our tailback. Got game-breaking type speed. He's a really tough runner. He's a great kid. I mean, that group of 6 guys, including our quarterback. I mean, I'd put them against any perimeter group in our conference, and probably Northeast Ohio. I think they're phenomenal. I mean, in my time coaching at Ed's, Maple Heights, they're as good as any group I've had there as a whole. So, I mean, I'm really excited to see them play. It's awesome to coach them every day. I'm excited to call an offense where they're in it, and I'm lucky to have great coaches that coach our wideouts and our tailbacks and our offensive line. So they're going to be really good.
And then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, obviously in week 1, you're going to face an explosive Ashland offense. Defensively, who are some guys that can be game changers? Maybe force some turnovers, force some turnovers and get the ball for you on the defensive side of things.
It's always the plan, right? You're hoping.
You're hoping. As
an offensive-minded head coach, anytime we get the ball back, I'm a happy guy, right?
That's right.
Our 3 of our returning linebackers who were exceptional players for us last year, Mason Decker, Connor Reynolds, and Kate Swisher, will return for us. So having that experience there in leadership positions on our defense is a huge deal. And then some of those skill kids I talked about will have to play double duty at corner, but I think they're ready for that. Jack Arnold, Cameron Cupock, and D'Angelo Border kind of be those guys. And then at safety, we have two like really dynamic playmakers that I'm excited to see. Julian Vigilante, who will be a junior, and Devin Johnson, who I just spoke about as a wideout player, their safety spot, along being backed up by Cole Bunner. And so those kids will all play a lot because we got some kids going both ways. And then another kid that I think really is going to stand out is actually Luke's little brother, Hudson Devins. I mean, he's been making plays all over the field in practice. He's gotten opportunities as a sophomore to kind of get in there, and he's been phenomenal. So I can't wait to see him play and see how that whole group play together. They're I would use some other colorful language, but they're a heck of a handful to go against practice every day. And so and they really make it a challenge of practice every day. And Coach Wilson does a really nice job with them too. So I'm excited for them. I mean, I think they're dynamic. I think our skill positions are obviously really the strength of our team, but I think that we'll that our linemen are bought into what we're trying to do, and are going to be difference makers for us as well. Because without them, really nothing goes on both sides of the ball.
You have a kid on your team with the last name Vigilante. That's one of the best
awesome
sounding football names I think I've heard in a long time.
I call him Vigilante Justice every time he plays.
That's great.
Awesome.
He's got to play defense
and
too.
He's that type of kid that likes to hit
defense.
people. I mean, he's the type of kid that loves contact. So he fits that name about as good as you could. So yeah, he's a great kid too. So I'm excited to see him play this year for sure.
Coach, for you, obviously going into a season every year, it's about, winning every game, winning your conference, making the playoffs, going forth. This year is obviously different.
Sure.
So as a coach and as a staff, how have you looked to prepare for this season? Is there more of a emphasis on, hey, game at a time, let's just get better every game? Or, are you kind of looking big picture, how are we going to do things? Or is just there's so much that is still not known and how the season's going to go, you're forced to almost take it just game at a time?
Yeah, I would say that's a great point. Josh, it's first of all, stay healthy, right? I mean, we talked to the kids in the summer when we thought we were playing Strongsville and even playing other teams. That's a war of attrition in the summer. If the other teams are losing days due to not doing things, I mean, you would say the right way, but a lot of it's luck, right, too. But you'd say doing things the right way, then we're gaining days on those teams, and that's all because you're doing things the right way. So we tried to frame it that way, and I think that's what helped with keeping our kids on the right course. That, hey, if we have a day and a team we play doesn't, that's a win right now, right? And our goal is to stay healthy. So I say that's the thing, right, Josh? First of all, is get to the game. That would be good, right?
Yeah.
But then, it's a 1-0 mentality. It's kind of cool with it right now. And the years that I spent coaching hockey, it makes it really similar to me to that. Everybody makes the playoffs, so you really want to be good at the end of the year.
Right.
So although you want to win every game, and hell yes, we'd like to win our conference, man. I mean, I'd be the first one I'd win. That's the goal. As long as we're improving every week to peak at the playoffs, that's the goal. No team in our school district, regardless of who's been on it. You got the kid, Joey Bocce's with the Saints right now, doing a good job there, and hope he'll make the team. I mean, he didn't win a playoff game. No team in our school has won a playoff game yet. So our goal will be to be the first team in school history to win a playoff game this year. And if we can build every week to get better and win games and put us in a good spot seeding wise in the tournament, I think that's a big deal. And kind of having that mentality that I was lucky enough to have during the hockey seasons, that, hey, you're going to make it. The goal is let's play good opponents, which we're awesome to have in our schedule, and let's expose some stuff. If we win, awesome. Obviously, that's the goal. But if it exposes some stuff we need to get better at that helps us win our first playoff game and make a run in the playoffs, that to me is more important than anything else.
Coach, question I'm going to ask pretty much every coach we talk to is, how much open communication?
Not a good question, darn it.
All right, that's fine. But I'm going to ask it anyway.
You got to tailor this.
As far as communication, I think even more so than years past with what's going on, the communication not only with your staff but with other teams in other areas, especially in the Southwestern Conference in which you guys are going to be playing. Are you seeing more of I hate, for lack of a better term, kind of a collaboration to get this season on and keep it on the tracks? Because one of the things that people talked about coming into this was, we may start, a couple weeks, but if we don't do, like you said, the right things, this may be a 2-week season because we have to shut everything down again. how much of that is factoring into conversations that you're having with your athletic directors, how much you're having with other coaches, specifically in your maybe conference specifically, because you're kind of staying within your conference a little bit? Is you seeing more of an open conversation regarding that?
I think so. A lot of going into the year, obviously, and the earlier summer stuff was consistently being a part of the Ohio Coach Association and getting those, and all those guys there doing a phenomenal job. And making sure we're kind of on point with what they're saying the recommendations are, being a part of those recommendations, and understanding how to, again, protect our kids. I think that's a big part of it. And again, on the other hand, I'm extremely lucky to have an athletic director that's a big football guy. Started the program in Notre Dame College and understands football, so always makes those conversations way easier than it would be, I think, in other places for people. And yeah, communication's huge, obviously. We were scrambling to find a game 3 days ago. So, having that communication is big, but the coolest thing I think of coaching football, and it's not just the high school, it's high school with college coaches as well, is it's such a community compared to other sports I've been a part of. Guys talk, guys are on the same page. You can have a couple beers with guys in the team during the Ohio conference, and if you lost to them, you beat them. It seems like things are all good at that point because we're all really at the end of the day trying to do what's best for the kids and get them going. And I think football is such an avenue towards preparing kids for life. So there has been a lot of that. I've been lucky to be part of a conference, honestly, that has always had that in my mind, and it's made my transition from being a coordinator to being a head coach really easy because there's just great guys in my conference, great coaches that are open to that and really want to see us have a great conference and move on to the playoffs and do great things that show what a great conference we have at the SWC. Did that answer your question? I feel like I was rambling there a little bit.
That's fine. I guess the question is, are you guys having are you having a almost daily discussion with your athletic director?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. That's a consistent thing. And again, we kind of had that because I think we have a really good relationship. I'm lucky to have him.
Yeah.
But not necessarily with the conference, I would say.
Right.
Okay. You know what things haven't dramatically changed in that book. I will tell you there's a lot of collaboration going on when you're scrambling to find a game and you contact the 30 coaches that you're friends with. And you're like, my God, do you know anybody that needs a football game so that we can play? And it's
if it worst came to worst,
it's a lot of time. I'm sorry.
Worst comes to worst. Look, Sports on Tap guys, we'll put the pads on. We'll go out there and make your kids look like all-stars. I can tell you that right now.
Kicker. Come on. Come on. You can't trust Ed Dick to do anything. He's a kicker.
He's fine. Listen, he's our secret weapon.
Yeah, if we can't move the ball, I know he can kick it from 60 at least.
Yeah.
Right, Ed?
At least 60. With his left foot.
It's been a minute since I hit a 60-yarder, but
yes.
And according to Joe Tate, I think he could play a little linebacker too.
Yeah, Joe Tate. That was gold on his part. Oh, that was well said. Another thing we're talking about before you came on was the fact that in this year you don't really need to schedule. You don't have to schedule for computer points as much as you want to. In a normal setting, I think Ashland would be a great game for you guys regardless. But in this year, there's there's nothing holding you back from that. So. Did that make it a little bit easier? I have to think that made it easier to broaden your horizons and go down and to try to find a game like Ashland. But even come the end of the year, if there is an opportunity to play another game outside of the playoffs, will that help you out with potentially Berea-Midpark playing a team they've never played before?
Sure. I think, Ed, number one, you played, you get it. You put so much time into football. It's such a delayed gratification sport. The kids got to have games to play. There's no doubt. You always hear the cliche, we'll play anybody, anywhere in a parking lot. But I'll be honest with you, that's how I felt. And we're lucky to have Ashland. It's a good fit for our team, a good fit for them, a good game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you want the kids to play. You can't put the work in. Coaches do, our coaches are busting their butts too. We want them to play. I want the parents to be able to see their seniors play. That's the thing that freaked me out the whole year, regardless if they were going to do fall season or spring season. My prayers were always just, and I talked to my wife about this, I just want to have a season. I don't care when it is. I want the kids to be able to play. And I also didn't want kids to have to choose, right? Like I didn't want kids to have to choose in the spring between one sport or the other. I was a multiple sport guy, and we have a lot of really good baseball players on our football team. And I wanted them to still have their senior football season, and especially after losing last spring with baseball. Obviously, if they had to make a choice, I would completely back them making a baseball choice if that's their future sport, but I want them to have the opportunity to play, and more than anything. So I think you're right in that respect. You want to play a season, and if you get out of the playoffs, hopefully it's not happening to us, but early, then you want to find games to play. I know right now it's really weird for us. We don't play Olmsted Falls on our current schedule, and that's our rivalry game.
Yeah.
And I know that if we were to both happen to be out before week 10, we would try to make up that game because it's such a big deal in our communities. But at the end of the day, you just want to play games, man. You want to play games. You want those kids to experience the season, and you want them to enjoy the game of football. I mean, it's such a great game, and we want them to have that experience.
Yeah, it's definitely been a crazy time, and this has been unbelievable. But it was nice to hear that, with athletic directors, coaches, and the governor, and everybody involved, seems like they're trying to work as hard as they can to make it safe, but also give the kids, they need, the sports and school and things like that mentally too. So I'm glad it came to a conclusion, and let's hope that everybody can enjoy this. I know it's got to be tough. At least the parents can go to the games and see their kids play. I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah, and the other thing is live streaming games, right? I mean, we're working on getting a stream for our team. I know that Ashland's got a stream for our game, and a lot of teams are going to that. And I think for some people that might let them watch games that they wouldn't necessarily be able to for their, for their grandkids or kids. I know my dad, Ed knows my dad really well. He usually goes to every game I've coached, every game I've played. And obviously he's, in his late 60s, and for him to go into the games isn't a great option, and so he'll be able to watch the games on a live stream. That's a big deal to him, and it helps, right? I mean, same thing with grandparents for our kids and stuff. So, even though there's a limit to tickets, I think there's things we can do as football programs and as high schools to make sure that people still enjoy the game and still get the opportunity to experience their family members, relatives, friends, play the game. And still be safe and still be, obviously social distance, or be at home and be safe. And it's, I think it's still possible. So, and you never know, that might change the way things are done in the future. I was just talking to our coach, he said about ordering food, right? I mean, right now you pick up the food, you don't even necessarily have to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You go sitting right there on the counter, and you're like, oh, John, that's mine. Boom, gone. I get my son Bob Evans pancakes and squishy bacon because he likes bacon.
How can you go wrong with bacon?
You can't. It's your comments if you don't eat bacon. I'll just tell you, just leave the comment. I'm just
I've yet to go wrong with bacon.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I was gonna say, I don't think many people have, and my father-in-law would fight anybody who says something's wrong with bacon. I'll tell you.
Yes,
he eats it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's bacon.
My 5-year-old son he probably would punch you in a place that you don't want to get punched in. Let me tell you. He'd wave his bacon in your face before he'd eat it.
I wouldn't want to get punched by Dominic. That would not work out.
He's a violent little boy, which is both good and bad.
He's a bulldog, man. He's a bulldog.
Well, guys, go ahead, John.
It might change the way we do things. You never know.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I love having people at the games, but if we get more people involved that necessarily wouldn't watch, because they can watch in the comfort of their home and follow us, to me, we're trying to build a brand. We're trying to build a program. So if people are interested to watch it, maybe, never know. You get some youth kids that want to watch it. They get interested. They get into football, and it changes their lives for the better. So any way we can spread the game to kids, regardless of how it works, I think is worth investigating and worth getting into.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we've had to do with our show. We used to, go to Z's Cream and Bean and have coaches and kids there, and it's changed a little bit, but live streaming is definitely a good option for everyone. And things change, but you can change with it, and hopefully it works out. But guys, any last thoughts for Coach Hunick before we let him go here?
Good luck this season, Coach.
Yeah, good luck.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Stay safe out there.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you soon. We'll see you at a game for sure.
That'd be awesome. You guys are good luck, man. I don't think we've lost a game you guys have been at since I've
You have not.
Here, we'll knock on.
Get your butts every game. By the way, our game is at 7:00 on Friday at home.
Yep.
And we might be there.
So
one of us, yeah, for sure.
I'll make sure on the pass list because it's tough to buy that type of luck, man. You guys always bring good mojo.
I know, man. We do our best, you know.
Thank you so much for having me on. You guys do such a great job for high school sports. I can't tell you how much I know people appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks for coming on. We hope you and the family are well. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the field at some point.
Sounds awesome, guys. You guys have a great evening.
All right, you
Thanks,
too.
Coach.
Have a great season.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's John Hunick, head coach of the Berea-Midpark Titans, joining us here on Sports on Tap. And we'll go from one to the next. I know he's been waiting, but
Patiently.
Patiently. As
He's in the green room.
Yeah.
Ready to roll.
It's not even a great green room either. It's his living room. So
Dan Larocca, head coach of the Westlake Demons. We'll see if he joins us. Right now, it looks like his audio is working, but not sure if the video's there. Maybe he. There he is. There's Coach.
There's the man.
Coach, thanks for joining us. Wow, look at that, man! What a cool office. Look at all the
I gotta get
helmets in
that
the
set
back.
up in my house. Look at that.
That's a pretty.
I got 1 second, guys. I gotta take you off my Facebook Live here.
Oh,
I'll tell you
yes,
what.
please do.
You know what? It's interesting when we do this to see the cool offices, and the setups. Like Josh has his office kind of all set up. I see a hand coming out of Sean's head. I don't know
That's my
what-
son. I'm gonna say hi. You're on TV.
There you go.
Liam.
There you go, Liam.
A future Elyria Catholic Panther.
Panther.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully.
They got a good squad coming up this year.
I know. Well, the second grade flag football team looks pretty tough, if you know what I'm saying.
Hey,
No,
Coach.
it's not at all like herding cats. So
Coach Larocca, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on and taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. It's always great to talk to you, and I know we just got off with Coach Hunick, and we talked to him about how the times have been changing ever so quickly. It seems like, and I know for you, it's probably the off season has been a little bit crazy. You went from not playing to now you have an independent schedule. How excited are you though to have an independent schedule where your kids can play?
We are very excited. We'll get into it a lot, but when the OHSAA gave us the option, and then our transition that was already happening and into the GLC and all the stuff, to say it was a fluid situation would be underrepresenting, the situation. And so we went from, it has been a roller coaster, to be honest. It's been great. I mean, March 14th, we get sent home. They tell us we're going to be home for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden we're home for 12. And then on, somewhere around June 8th, they said you can come back, but you can't go in the building. Okay, well, we'll come back. We'll go in the building. And then in July, they said, well, now you can go in the building, but you got to go in small groups, less than 9. And so we've been able to really pivot at every hurdle here in a way, in my mind, that has been favorable to us. And we are here for the kids. We are here for our community, and we are here for our program, and that's who we represent. And so when we, the athletic director, the superintendent, the principal, and I sit down and make decisions, we do those in concert. We make sure that we are representing our community to the best of our ability. And we, you just had Coach Hunick on, who's a good friend of mine. You have another good friend of mine at University School. You have another really good friend of mine, the head coach over at Padua. Another good friend of mine is the head coach. When we sit down and we talk about our programs, we talk about those hurdles that arise as we've navigated through the COVID-19 2020. We've made those decisions that we thought were prudent to our kids.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough, especially with everything going on. But you guys have done a great job, and I'm excited that at least they're being safe. Everybody worked together to get a schedule going. How's the off season been for you guys? I mean, you go from, probably working out, and we just talked to Coach Hunick about not having any game tape really with scrimmages and everything. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
I will go a little bit further back, and I will tell you, on March 14th, when the governor walked on in front of that podium and said, we're going to send kids home, we had gained so much momentum. I mean, our off season was going extremely well. I think at that point we had somewhere around 70 kids in our program. Wow. We were averaging, 35 to 30 kids, on a day in the weight room in school, in season. So we still had our multi-sport athletes, but we were gaining momentum. I was actually out. I ran out of the building to go get strength and conditioning T-shirts for our youth camp. We were running youth strength and conditioning camp with the 5th through the 8th graders, and had 30 kids showing up twice a week to that camp. To say I was a little blindsided, I walked back into school on March 11th, and the place was going bonkers. I mean, understandably. I mean, every school was. The governor came on and said, we're sending kids home. We're canceling all ours. I walked back in, and I thought, I really need to take my blinders off, to be honest, is what I really thought. Like, I need to open myself up. I got to get out of my bubble. And we as football coaches, we tend to have blinders on, and we worry about our program, and we lose sight of what's actually going on in the world. And so we got sent home. Well, okay, so I created a YouTube channel, and I got my old butt out there, and I put myself through workouts using paint cans and using sandbags and buckets and everything.
Yeah, dude. You're getting after it there, Coach.
Down the driveway, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm doing everything I can, and we're doing virtual workouts, and we're trying to, try to keep that good momentum. And then we come back in July. So, okay, fine. So we'll come back in July. We put our helmets on. We get to, we get a ball out a little bit. We're allowed to rock and roll. We feel good, right? We're actually, we're coaching football again. And then on, Cuyahoga County Board of Health puts out that recommendation. And we pivoted, and we made a decision that it was in our best interest to go back to phase 1. So we go back to phase 1, and we're without a ball. We're without helmets. We're without equipment. We're on the field, no inside, no weights, no nothing. And we were able to pivot in an appropriate manner at every hurdle. Okay. And so I feel like, as we got to this point, we were, last Thursday, I was told, we were basically said, hey, we're going to start, we're going to play. We're going to play. I'm like, oh, okay. So let's rock and roll. So I said, all right, well, how do we start? And we said, okay, listen, we're going to start on Monday with acclimation. So a week ago today, we put helmets back on and got footballs back out of the bags for the first time in August.
Oh, wow.
And we were able to go through acclimation. We were able to put full pads on, and we put full pads on Saturday and had some contact. And we said, okay, well, we were, originally we were looking to scrimmage in week 1, and we looked and we looked and we looked, and we said, when you look at the SWC, the GLC, we were on varying levels. We were in very different levels. You look at the current standing of the SWC, and five of the schools are in Lorraine County, and they never stopped. They never skipped a beat, and they kept on rocking and rolling. And you look at other schools in our county who continued to rock and roll based on the Ohio Department of Health orders. And we found ourselves sort of in alignment with some other people. And so we tried to align ourselves in the best way we could with those people moving forward. And so that's how we ended up in an independent schedule. And we ended up with some people that had been through some of those same hurdles as us. So we find ourselves in alignment and given ourselves an opportunity to grow. You look at our football team, and we have 2 returning starters on either side of the ball. We have, probably 7 or 8 sophomores that are going to start on our football team. We are predominantly, over 50% of our roster is in the 10th grade class. So we are pivoting and doing what is best for our program. And I was on earlier and listened to John, and, I don't think I've spoke to anybody more than my athletic director every single day. And when I say, we are both men of BW, we are both football guys, I don't think there is anybody that is in concert with their athletic director the way I am. And again, I know, many of my friends are head coaches. And so I've been given the freedom to schedule. I've been given the freedom to pivot and act and do things that are in the best interest of our kids. I'm invested. I'm invested in this personally. And so for me and him, my athletic director, who has a sophomore on my football team. So I'm not getting around any hurdles. Skipping any protocols here, guys.
Yeah.
So we are in concert at every moment, all the time. I talk to him more than I talk to my wife. And that's okay. Because she's the head coach at home, and she gets to come home and tell me what to do. And, I get to go out of the house, and I get to make some decisions then. But I feel like, we have a great relationship. And that was one of the things when I started 2 years ago that we sat down and said, look, we need to be connected at the hip. And we are. And honestly, we are in alignment in everything that we're doing. So to say it's been fluid has been crazy. Still don't have I have talks. I have all these things. I think we're okay for week 4, but we don't have anything locked down right now. I'm still going through JV and freshman and, middle school and all those things. But, we agree on almost every front here in doing what's best for our community.
So how keeping the kids focused throughout this whole ordeal, or for the whole off season. I've seen I've seen some of the things that you've been doing just through social media and whatnot. Some of the things that I've seen you do are awesome, like having the having the captains call their parents. And when to announce that to tell them they were named a captain, I think that's fantastic. That's the first time I haven't seen that before. But just overall, how the kids have been keeping focus with your coaches.
We are lucky. I really am. Our coaching staff has changed over the course of the year. I'm very, very happy to have Kevin Fell, as my offensive coordinator. Kevin Fell's won 275 football games. He's in the Hall of Fame, and he's got 43 years of coaching experience. My quarterback coach has got 35 years of coaching experience with Kevin Fell. I am now the defensive coordinator, which is new to me, but that's okay. And so I've been able, my sidekick on defense is another guy who's got 40 years of experience. We as a coaching staff have been able to understand, moderate, what's going on. And then we have some younger guys that are able to, but imitation is the, purest form of flattery here. I got that from Ohio State, Larry Johnson calls them guys. I said, all right, well, that's really cool. So let's do that. During the pandemic, we were sent home. We were having virtual meetings with some of those guys, those 3 or 4 minutes with certain players. You know what I mean? That was just something we were able to do to keep our kids engaged when we couldn't be with them. We have this technology. We are blessed. Westlake community is blessed with a lot of benefits in terms of technology, in terms of resources. We have a lot of resources that we tap into. We have great personnel in our school district that want to help kids. Okay. And so when we have a young person who needs a resource, they need what do they call it? A device. We can get them a device. You know what I mean? If they are non-responsive because they can't have a device at home, we give them a device. If they can't have access to internet, we find them internet. if they can't get to somewhere, So we have begun, we're not fully engaged yet. We want to be, and we're working towards that, but we have the ability to use our resources in terms of helping our football program. And so for us, we have to do those things. That's how we continue to grow our program. But, Ed, you ask a great question. Like, how have we been able to do it? It comes back to resources, and it comes back to your kids. We named Nolan Dasick. We named Angel Jiminian, Sam Prexta. We named 3 junior captains and 3 senior captains. So Nolan Dasick, Hunter Palmisano, and I'm drawing a blank on the turning senior. Hunter, Nolan, Sam, Angel. Now I'm drawing a blank. My athletic director's going to
It's not your athletic director's kid, is it? Because that'd be a big problem too.
No, he's a young guy.
Okay.
Young guy, sophomore. I mean, he's going to play for us. Young man follows in his father's footsteps. His father's in the Hall of Fame at BW, and young man's got a lot of plays ahead of him. He's got some big shoes to fill. But Dylan Bednar. I mean, how could I forget our all district conference? Everything. So we're really lucky to have those guys. And one of the things that happens, Dylan Bednar, great kid. If you ever talk to him, he's one of the best conversations you will have. I will leave it at that. If you ever come and cover one of our games, have a conversation with Dylan Bednar. But one of the things that's happened in this past week, literally, we started last Monday in helmets. Over the course of the week, I had six seniors come back out for football. 6. These are kids who haven't played since their freshman year. We lost 5 rising senior starters from last year's football team. They went, they chose to go on. They chose not to play football and play other things. And that was their decision. But over the course of the week, we've had 6 rising seniors who haven't played in a couple of years come back. And one of the best things young man said to me, he said, young man came to me after practice. He said, "Coach, this is so cool. This is so different." You know what I mean? He goes, "I had no idea. I didn't know what to expect." All right, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he continued to go on and talk about other things, but for the most part, these guys have come back and they're going to provide support. These are just, seniors are just bigger, faster, and stronger than some of these younger guys.
Coach, one of the questions I have, you mentioned early on, one of the questions, thank you. I appreciate the one finger up. I am number 1. I don't like any of my co-hosts. But I do want to ask you, you're coming in with a very, very young squad, is what you said. You said 50% of your team is made up of 10th graders. Mm-hmm. Are you finding that because they're so young, they're more attentive? And they're a little bit maybe not easier to coach, but maybe more receptive to the message because they know, what they're doing this year is the foundation for how they're going to play next year and the year after. That we always talk about that wave of kids coming in. If you have a big sophomore class, by the time they're seniors, you're going to have an experienced team. Is that kind of obviously you want to win games, but is that kind of the focus of the coaching staff, is getting them understanding what it's like to play Friday nights under the lights in the varsity level, because you just don't have an option at this point?
Well, that's really twofold. You know what I mean? One, I would love to say yes, but the reality is these are sophomores, man. These guys, they are like sheets in the wind sometimes. Okay, but we are blessed that these guys are talented. Okay, our sophomore class. Our this group of young men are really skilled football players. These guys have played together they played together through 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. They were successful in all of those years. So in one regard, they don't have the attention span. Right. They don't have the, thing, but their football IQ and their talent level is there. We are fighting right now is we play a game on Friday night. Right. We don't have a scrimmage on Friday. We play a game. So now it's like, okay, how do I tone you down a little bit from running around like a chicken with your head cut off to get you to understand, hey, look, you still have to play the B gap here, young man.
Right.
Like, I get it. You want to run around and you want to make plays and you're jaw jacked up that you're our, when we call for ones, you run out there. But the reality is, we're going to try to keep it simple. Okay. We are a very basic defense right now, and we're not going to change, a whole lot of what we're doing for Brookside on Friday night. We've had a week with a ball, a run game. So we are keeping it simple, stupid. We are really paring down. We will be very basic. We will be very, we will play to their strengths. And right now their strengths is just, frankly, pure joy. These guys are so happy. I'll be honest, it's not hard to keep these guys, these young men engaged. We are blessed. We really are. We have an opportunity. That's all we have on Friday night, guys. And we don't know how many we're going to get, but we know what we just went through. Okay. We've been through all these ups and downs and this roller coaster of, are we going to play? Are we not going to play? Who are we going to play? When are we going to play? How? Listen, Brookside, Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. We're going to play a football game, and we're just going to enjoy that experience. We really are. Ultimately, that's all we got right now, because nothing is given at this point. So these young guys are so happy. They really are, man. And I get it. We have no scrimmage under our belt. We didn't have a green and white scrimmage. We didn't have these things. We didn't have the ability to have an inter squad a weekend of practice. That was our first day of contact. So, now we are lucky. We're lucky. Our practices, we are basically one person away from 2 platoon. So we're a 2 platoon football team with, 35, 40, 10 through 12, and 15 to 20 freshmen. So our freshmen are, they do their thing, but we're basically a 2 platoon team. So the quality of our practices, the intensity of our practices is unlike anything it's been in the 2 years and a week that I've been here. So, so we have quality over quantity right now, but we are working towards a 2 platoon where, we can take our best and then, for portions of practice. But come Friday night when the ball's kicked off, that's going to be the first real live. We're going to see who. Right. We're going to find out. We're going to see who's the deer in the headlights and who's not.
That's right. Coach,
now,
go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say, just having your independent schedule, do you see that possibly as an advantage for you guys this year is really starting to, develop the program that you see fit in the future? This year you don't have to worry about a conference championship. You're just going out there and you're just playing games. Do you find that as an advantage, as a good learning experience, as you can maybe put the learning curve a little fast forward, put it in motion a little more to get these guys some game experience?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question, Josh. We looked at this and we said, how can our young kids grow? Okay. And I know Coach Unick just mentioned, he's right. We don't need to be our best in week 1. We are progressing towards a week 7 peak. Okay. And when you have all these young guys, you looked at our schedule and hindsight is what it is, but we were going to open with Rocky River, and then we were going to go North Olmsted, Avon Lake, Olmsted Falls, and Berea-Midpark, and then play Avon, in a 5-week span. When you're starting 7 or 8 sophomores against those guys, it's hard to give them the carrot at the end of the stick. We've done is we've been able to pivot to our benefit. We've been able to say, okay, we're going to ladder this schedule to progress towards our ultimate goal. And we've been given an opportunity to play in week 7 in the playoffs. And we're going to we're going to peak at that time. We don't need to have all of our offense in. We're not going to. We can't. Okay. We're not going to have all of our defense in. We're not going to. So we're going to build this thing along the way, and we're going to give those young guys those opportunities to go out and make mistakes in a healthy way, in a way that they can come back, watch film, grow, and see these things develop in front of their eyes, where sometimes, as coaches and former, players, we know what it means when the game is too fast. Okay. And when the game is too fast, it's hard to slow it down in season. in the game. You're not going to. You got to give those kids reps. They need reps. And so what we've done is we've been able to take that independent schedule. We've been able to align ourselves with some future opponents. Okay, you look at Warrensville Heights in week 5. They're a non-conference opponent for us the next 2 years going forward. So we said, all right, we'll play now. Okay, great, let's play. We look at Lutheran West is we have a relationship with their coaching staff. You look at University School, I have a relationship with their coaching staff. You look at North Ridgeville, I have a relationship with their coaching staff. And these are all, games that are on our schedule, at some point throughout the season. And so we've been able to maintain our relationships, but also give it to the best benefit of our kids.
Speaking of some of these sophomores and really anyone who's, any of your main players, you mentioned your 6 captains earlier. Who are some other players that we need to look out for, or that you intend on making a big impact this year?
Yeah, I mean, first you look at Will Ostrowski. Will Ostrowski's a young man who played in the last varsity game for us last year against Midview, had an interception, returned kicks. Frankly, I mean, he could have started for us all last year. He could have started for us 10 games last year, but it was beneficial to the development of that entire freshman class for him to play with the freshman team. And so we did, and he played JV and he played those things. So Will Ostrowski's going to play. He's going to start 2 ways for us. Will Ostrowski's going to start at safety and he's going to start at running back. You look at Arrington Taylor. Arrington Taylor's another, he's another running back, but he's also going to start at middle linebacker for us. You look at Liam Shields, young man, all these guys are multi-sport athletes. Will Ostrowski started on the varsity basketball team. Arrington Taylor's another wrestler and a track kid. Liam Shields, wonderful lacrosse player, track kid, going to start at corner for us. These are all sophomores who are going to start. So you look at those guys, you look at some of the kids who've come back, the juniors, and you look at, some of the seniors, we are very inexperienced in terms of snaps on a Friday night under the lights, but that potential is always there. And so we look for those guys to be able to lean on and say, we're investing in you is what we are doing. We're investing in them for the long haul. And we're able to look at them and say, okay, here's some of those guys. You look at our offensive line, we returned 2 starters, and Nolan Dasick is a captain for us, starting center. He started since he was a sophomore. Hunter Palmasano started all 10 games last year as a returning starter. We were lucky enough to get a transfer. We got a young man moved to Westlake from Cuyahoga Falls. Okay. So Calvin Hicks, he's a junior. He's going to start for us. All 3 of those guys are 6'1", 6'2", 265 pounds or heavier. You look at our, Sammy Prexta, who's a captain. He's going to start at middle linebacker, and he's also going to start at left tackle. So we're going to have some 2-way guys, but we're trying to limit those. That's been sort of our Achilles heel in the past. There's been 9-10 guys going 2 ways, and we've been able to hang in those games in the first half. You guys noticed. I mean, you look at that Berea-Midpark game last year. We led at the end of the first quarter. You look at we look at Rocky River. We led at the end of the first half. We led against 4 or 5 of those SWC opponents in the first half. And we were able, now we're able to build some depth. And so we're really excited about that. We're young, but I feel like the experience in our coaching staff is going to be able to manage some of those things throughout those portions of the games.
Yeah, it's great stuff, Coach. I mean, breaking it down, with the players, but also what you're kind of going through here in the off season and scheduling. I mean, you covered pretty much all topics with this. So that's what we love to see here on Sports on Tap.
Answered all my questions without me asking them. How did you do that?
No, that's great stuff. Any last questions for Coach Larocca here before we let him go? Josh, it looks like he put up a family picture down there, which is...
He's done. He's doing something.
He might have cashed... Are the Bruins playing or something?
Must be. Coach, I guess one thing is you mentioned... Yes, just one more thing I'll ask.
Oh, there is just one more thing.
There is always just one more thing. You mentioned you were very great about talking about the up and down nature of your off season and, will you or won't you play and things like that. I'm wondering, has the community kind of felt that, always been that supporting area? No matter what you guys did, like, when you guys made that tough decision to say, look, we can't play, it doesn't make sense to play, we're going to follow this board. Did you guys have the support of the community, maybe the school and the surrounding community?
I want to say this, and I mean this in the best way possible. We were 0-10 last year, and we had a lot of running clock football games. And never once did I have a parent, a community member, and a teacher, an administrator, a colleague, a player complain one time.
Wow.
Okay. I work very hard, and I spend a lot of time because, as you know, they said they don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. That I absolutely love my kids, and I have no problem telling them that. Okay. I had a senior who graduated come back the other day, just last week. Okay. Young man, Nick Teriyaki, not a captain for us, was a 1-year starter, played last year and came back and gave me a hug. And it wasn't physically distanced like we were supposed to be. Okay? But he came back and he gave me a hug and he said, Coach, I just want you to understand what your messages, how you coached me impacted my life. And he said, his kid's going to go to Japan and he's going to play college football in Japan. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. The kid's got a 3.36 on his ACT and a 4.1 million GPA. And, and he's a great young man. But to say that this community has not been supportive, I mean, it has been overwhelmingly supportive. All I ask, all I've ever asked is that our young people are honest, that they communicate, and that they do their best wherever their feet are. And so for us to be able to have that, again, we're not trying to be. I want to make sure I'm right. We're trying to win football games. Don't get me wrong. That's what varsity football is about. But we are also molding fathers and molding men, and understand that is, to me, is vitally more important than whether the outcome on the scoreboard on Friday night is in our favor. So our community, this community, Dr. Scott Goggins, to Paul Wilson, our principal, to my athletic director, Tony Cipollone, have been literally in concert and been the most supportive people I can. I mean, to be honest, no program is without turbulence. No program is ever perfect. And we are far from perfect. But we do strive for excellence, okay? But excellence doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean the outcome. So I find our community to be extremely supportive. Is it perfect? No.
Somebody community is at this point.
Yeah, somebody always has it worse than you, man.
Right.
So I've learned to just take it in stride, do the best you can with the information that you have, and always put the kids first. And I will always put the 80% of my roster first. Okay? Because the top 10% are going to be the best kids always. The bottom 10% are going to do, they're always going to do this. So I make decisions based on the middle 80%. What is best for the team?
That's
well said. As long as I do that, I can walk in my athletic director's office and sit down, and I can look him in the eye and say I did the absolute best I could. And that's it. And that's all you can do at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So, and I feel like he does the same exact thing with me. He looks me in the eye and he tells me the truth. And that's all I can do. That's all we can do.
Yeah, I think at this point, communication obviously is huge with everything we do, with what you do, and that's half the battle, going through a time that's kind of uncertain and just flat out weird. But
yeah,
you make the best of it, and we're all kind of changing with the times and just going with it. But we're excited that high school football is going to be played. And guys, any last questions or thoughts for Coach here?
Just good luck on your season, Coach. We're going to definitely be keeping track of you, and we're very excited to see how you guys, turn out the season. And like I said, good luck.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
try.
thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the opportunity. You know, you guys absolutely do a great job. Josh, I'm glad to have you back. You know,
Yeah, my bad. Obviously, I didn't check my percentage on my phone, so yeah.
That's all right.
But thanks for doing this, Coach. Good luck.
For a while, we had a
Stay
great
stuff.
picture of the family up there, Josh. It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Well, figured I'd
Thanks,
pretty up
guys.
the show a little bit, I guess.
Well, no, thanks for taking time, Coach. We know how busy it is to prepare for a game, especially this Friday, and appreciate you taking some time to talk with us. It's great talking to you. Great stuff tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you during the season.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one, man. Good
Thanks,
luck.
Ed. Thanks, guys.
Good luck, Coach.
Bye. Have a great night.
You too.
You too.
All right, that's Coach Dan Larocca, the head coach of the Westlake Demons, here on Sports on Tap. And guys, what a great show. You know, both coaches really gave some insight, I felt like, to what they were going through with COVID, which is, you know, kind of thrown everybody, including us, for a loop. You know, you were uncertain of what's going on, and, you know, just glad that it's happening. We're going to roll with the punches here, and, you know, look at Josh and the family looking good down there, and, you know, we'll see. Maybe the picture will start talking.
Would it be weird if those mouths started talking just all by themselves? Like, how crazy would that be if just all of a sudden you just had like their voices? Oh, there they go.
That'd be pretty fun.
I'm actually, you know, we had a conversation last night, and I kind of thought about it. I was a little bit down in the dumps about it because I just wasn't sure if we were going to be able to do football the way we've been doing it before. But you know what? The one thing that kind of got me out of that and kind of thought that, you know, or it made sense to me was, as much as we and the fans don't like, you know, are not going to be used to this, the coaching staff has to create, the coaches and players are even more so, you know, thrown for a loop, because it's not, I mean, the two coaches tonight, as of last week, didn't have a game for Friday night. Now they have a Friday night and they're in game mode. Most of them haven't even done contact drills or scrimmages. So like I said, is it going to be football that we're used to? Probably not, but it's football. We're out. We're doing what we're doing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. You may see 2-3 of us out there walking sidelines, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're definitely going to follow our conferences, the GLC, the Suburban League, Southwestern Conference, and the GCC. It's football, but it ain't football's SOT style like it was the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And you know what? Change is good, right?
Yep.
Change makes us better.
That's right. Well, any last thoughts, guys? Great show again. Ed, we appreciate you coming on.
Guys, did we do the Buckeye recap?
Yeah, we did that.
Nope.
Oh, we did do that. Yeah, we did.
Are you sure that we did the Buckeye recap? We did the Buckeye recap.
Sean, great job as always. Josh, I'm sure he'll be able to listen at some point. Great job.
He's going to pop in. We're going to be gone.
Yeah, I'll be like, wait, what happened?
So, I mean, I guess before we go, we should probably let our 12 to 15 fans who listen to us religiously know kind of the schedule going forward. We will be back Monday nights recapping all that we can in the GLC, Southwestern Conference, Suburban League, and the GCC. We are still going to be doing coverage on Friday nights as best that we can. There he is. There's Josh. Hey, buddy. Technology's tough, isn't it? It's cool. See?
There we go. I blame COVID. So
yeah. Well,
obviously I can't find a charger that works in this house.
That's all right.
So I was just recapping kind of the schedule going forward for everybody. We are still going to be doing Monday night shows at 8:00. They will be via Zoom, obviously, to maintain a good social distance. We are going to attempt to attend these games. Josh may not, because I'm going to break his arm if he keeps touching my fantasy football belt in such a way. I dislike everything, but yeah. So we will let you know prior to the game we're going to what game we're going.
Yep.
Wear the belt. Why'd you wear the belt?
Because then he has to stand up, and now it's just me talking to his hips, and I don't want to do that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's weird. Now it's weird. Now here's what happens. This is what happens.
Only weird, Sean, if you let it be.
Oh, it's weird no matter if I let it be or not, because now I'm just talking to your midsection. Anyway, we will be attempting to attend games and provide a live tweet for a live update scores on Friday nights via our Twitter handle at SOT Podcasts. We will have synopsises of the games that we attend on our website, sportsontapodcast.com.
Yep. And we'll keep everybody updated too. Things might change, but we'll try to keep everybody updated as things change. And
we will do our best to make sure we give you our up-to-par coverage on football. Want to take this opportunity to wish Ed as a good luck season with the Brunswick Blue Devils.
That's right.
Kick them high, kick them straight. Go Blue Devils. And we'll see how he'll be able to give us our GLC breakdown going forward, and then we'll take it from there. So next week will be week 1, I guess.
Yeah.
Recap of week 1.
This week.
Well, no, next week's show will be a recap of week 1.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm still a little behind.
Well, yeah, that's because your phone just got woken up. So, wait. By the way, Josh, we did the Buckeye recap.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Glad
We got that taken care of. Rob wasn't sure, but we made sure that we did it. So we'll take care of that.
Recap.
We did do the
You guys are on it.
But I definitely want to thank Coach John Hunick and Coach Dan Larocca for spending time with us, giving us a coach's insight into what can only be described as a fluid situation in the best of terms.
That's right.
And great job tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Rob, as always. Josh, it was middling, but you did okay. Ed, excellent job as always. I'd like you to polish up my belt because I'm taking it, and the journey starts on Saturday. So let's enjoy week 1. If you're out there, go out there, cheer on your team if you can. If not,
Live
stream. Yeah.
Live stream or follow us on Twitter for updates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And SOT Podcast, baby. All right,
Go
guys.
Boys.
Great job. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
See you
guys.
guys.